Hey Lorain County Wrestling fans, and welcome back to another episode of The Matt Report, brought to you by Cobos Insurance. I'm your host, Rocco Nushi, with the one and only Kristen Bauer behind the camera. And again, it's brought to you by Cobos Insurance. They're locally owned and proud supporters of high school wrestling, so please consider Cobos Insurance for all your insurance needs. Now, a very special episode this week, as I really want to shine a spotlight on the ladies because the Lady Longhorn Tournament is happening this week over at Lutheran West. It's an awesome tournament. I know my colleague Tom Evans, who can't be here this week, unfortunately, as he's enjoying a well-earned vacation, to say the least, is Mr. Evans. But I know that Lady Longhorn Tournament is one he gets very excited for, and I'm sure he'll have his eyes on the results for that one. And of course, you can find the results over at the Chronicle Telegram. But before we dive into some of those names to look out for at that Lady Longhorn Tournament, just what a start to the year it's been, especially in the SWC. I know me and Tom have kind of really focused on the SWC as the Lorain County League a bit behind in terms of their schedule and getting some of those dual meets in tournaments underway and everything like that. But the SWC, man, I'll tell you what, they are off to a blazing hot start, really from top to bottom in that conference. And you look at Avon, especially with their first-year head coach, Mark Jane. Again, new leadership with Coach Jane taking over this year for the very first season, and they have not skipped a beat, going from Jeremy Johnson to Coach Jane, because just an awesome showing at the Cobos Insurance Classic to start the season, falling just to Avon Lake, so a second-place finish there. And then they knock off Elyria, handing Elyria their first loss in a dual meet in a long, long time. I know that was something Coach Jane was very proud about. And reading through his comments in the Chronicle Telegram following that, he had a really nice quote that I wanted to give him a shout out for, talking about, you know, allowing his wrestlers to really enjoy that victory over Elyria and find some pride in that. You know, so many times we talk about what's it going to come down to at the end of the year down in Columbus at the state tournament? Where are you finishing then in March and this, that, and the other? And really, I think you got to take your wins throughout the season as well. And that's exactly what Avon has done here to start this season. So my hats are off to Coach Jane and what those Avon Eagles are doing to start the year. But you look elsewhere in the SWC, man, I mean, it is just crazy how hot these teams are to start the season. Midview is off to a really nice start to the season as well. They did well at Solon, I believe a fifth place finish there for Coach Paul Steele in his first season at the helm. Of course, Avon Lake off to a blazing hot start. They won the Cobos to kick off the season. So really a big shout out to the SWC, giving us plenty to cover here at the start of the season. So let's talk about the ladies now at that Lady Longhorn Tournament. And there's a lot of individuals that I want to talk about now. As I go through the weights in the numbers in terms of the seedings that these girls have. So in the 100-pound class, top seeded Lauren Ficker from Vermilion. She's bound to have a nice tournament. Riley Banyas from Elyria, top seed at the 105. That's a girl that, you know, me and Tom have talked about numerous times in the past season or so. So she'll, I'm sure, have a fine afternoon over there at Lutheran West. At 110, Mallory Zettel from Avon Lake. She's had a really nice start to the season. We'll see what she can continue to do over at Lutheran West. From Columbia in the 115-pounder, Sarah Napier, a top seed there. Another girl that me and Tom have talked about a couple of times. She's been wrestling well to start this season. Coach Hannah Ferry has those Lady Raiders performing well as their first season as an official program. So we'll see what Sarah can do in the 115s. Over at Keystone at the 120 pounds, Lydia Gold, a top seed there. We'll see what she's able to do. 125, a pair of one seeds here with our local schools. Layla Patterson from Avon Lake and Alyssa Woodward from Vermilion. That could be fun in the 125 class. And how about this at 135, all in one pool? You've got third seeded Sage O'Brien from Keystone, fourth seeded Mackenzie Feltis of Vermilion, and fifth seeded Rajan Elahash of Avon Lake, all in one pool. So that could be a lot of fun there. And a couple of more weight classes here. At 145, you got second seeded Abby Snyder from Midview, third seeded Emily Steiner of Vermilion. So that should be a lot of fun there as well. At 155, Gabrielle Grace from Columbia, the Lady Raiders well represented, as well as top-seeded Hattie Hobar from Avon Lake. And then at 190, Emily Jurisic from Keystone, another girl that me and Tom have talked about a couple of times. She's had some tough matches here to start the season, and that'll continue over at the Lady Longhorn Tournament at Lutheran West. So that's really the big girls event this week. Again, at Lutheran West, that Lady Longhorn Tournament. Follow along in the Chronicle Telegram for all the results from that one. I know the Columbia girls wrestling Twitter account has been very good about tweeting results and things like that throughout the season. So a couple of different outlets there for you to follow along on the girls' side. What's happening on the boys' side this week in wrestling? Well, some big ones, to say the least. Let's start with the Medina Invitational. A ton of local teams will be at this one. Avon Lake, Avon, Columbia, EC, Firelands, North Ridgeville, Wellington. And so for some of the SWC schools involved in this, I'm looking for them to kind of continue that early season momentum, continue to get those quality matches in for some kids who you do expect to be there at the end of the season down there in Columbus. And for some of these other schools, like in the Lorain County League, for an Elyria Catholic, for a North Ridgeville, you know, those schools who they don't necessarily have the big numbers that their head coaches would have wanted this season. But again, it all comes down to what kind of quality matches can you get these kids involved in. And I think the Medina Invitational will be a great way for some of these schools to be able to do just that. You've also got the Harding Invitational over at Marion Harding. I know Avon and Black River, I believe, will both be a part of that. Some good schools there, as well as St. Ignatius, I think, or St. Edward's is for sure involved in that. Maybe St. Ignatius as well, if I remember seeing that correctly. But again, at Marion Harding, the Harding Invitational should be a lot of fun. And then the big one, the granddaddy of them all, as our friend Tom Evans would say, the Brecksville Holiday Invitational. Now, for Elyria, I think this will be huge for first-year coach Armando Torres to kind of flex the Pioneer muscles a little bit. I don't think they've quite done that yet this year. Now, you know, whether they've necessarily been trying to go all out or not to this point, you know, to be determined for Coach Torres. But I think, you know, after falling to Avon, the Eagles are riding all that momentum. I think the Pioneers want to get a little bit of momentum back in their own court right now. So I think for them at Brecksville, again, the granddaddy of them all, as Tom Evans says, that should be a fun holiday invitational. So make sure you follow along in the Chronicle Telegram for that. So that's really about it as far as what's going on right now in the high school wrestling scene. Things slowing down just a little bit over the holidays, but even though, you know, not really, because you still got some big tournaments, again, like Medina, like the Brecksville Holiday Invitational. So a couple of things going on, but the local dual meets and the tri meets, the quad meets, all of that will really pick back up after the new year. The Lorain County League really gets their schedule rolling with Wellington and Oberlin and the likes of those schools really getting into action again. So again, once the new year turns over, I think things will pick back up, but we got some big holiday tournaments to kind of tie us over until then. So that'll do it for this week. Big thank you to Kristen Bauer behind the camera. And again, I'm your host, Rocco Nucci, saying thank you for watching the weekly Matt Report. It's brought to you by Cobos Insurance. They are locally owned and proud supporters of high school wrestling. So please consider Cobos Insurance for all your insurance needs. We'll see you next week with another episode of the Matt Report.